Hi guys, and welcome back to a brand new tattoo reaction video. Now, today, hi everyone, what is the tea? What is the Darjeeling, the Lapsang Souchong, the Scalding Hot Assam, the Earl Grey? What shall I say is the tea? The tea today is pumpkin chai. Yes, hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you are new, hi, my name is Roly, tattoo piercing Reddit weirdo here on the internet. So subscribe to the channel and join the fun. There is a QR code on screen as well to scan with your phone and to subscribe now. Today we are doing a highly requested video. Now, when people say sometimes on YouTube, oh, I've been so many people asking me to do this, no one has. This genuinely has been asked hundreds of times over the course of me being tattooed. We do a tattoo tour video, we do a tattoo tour video, we do a tattoo tour video.
I would not.
But I've waited for this very specific moment to make this video because I wanted to wait until I was covered enough from like head to toe that I could make a really good informed decision on how painful things are, because I am going to rank everything I've got also with pain, healing process, how quick it is, how good like the ink stays in the skin, all of these different things. I wanted to wait until I at least had my neck done some more, because that was the final place I'm doing. Today we're going to be going from head to toe. I'm going to show you everything that I got. I'm going to show you lots of like healed footage so you can see how it's aged. Some of it's older than others, obviously. But quickly though, just before we do start, I want to give you a little reminder to go check out the Makeship campaign to get a little Roly plushie. So we have started a campaign. I don't know if by the time this video goes up, we might have hit the 200 people. We do need 200 people to sign up on the link below. All you have to do is pledge $2 and then you'll be charged the full amount if the thing gets fully funded. They don't allow you to like just sort of sell them straight away. You have to at least have 200 backers before they will actually go through with the processing and actually make like a little mock-up. So of course at the moment I can't show you anything until I get the 200 people signing up, but it's essentially got to be me wearing like a blank tank top and have all the body like tattooed. So essentially it's going to be more of like a tattoo plush. And I'm also going to have a little version of my cat Glowbeck, who's my little ginger baby, Velcro him to my head, or he's going to be a little standalone thing. He's going to be a little tiny one compared to the plushie. But yeah, make sure you do check out the Makeship campaign down below. If you can't afford it straight away, that's absolutely fine. You only need to pledge $2 to begin with, and you won't be charged the full amount for the plushie until it's been properly made and shipped, which will be in a couple of months' time. Check out the link down below, and thank you for your continued support. And yes, let's not beat around the bush wattly and get on with these tattoo tour reviews. Get on with these tattoo tour reviews. I'm only doing one.
You're a mess, woman.
So to make it easier on myself, we're just going to start at the top and work our way down instead of trying to do things like I got this one first, I got this one second, because I just can't remember the order of everything. So we are going to start with one of the newer additions to the tattoo family, and that is my right side of my neck here. And this is the Marauder from Doom. I absolutely love video games. Most of my tattoos are either movies or video games. That's what I love to do. Doom is all about demonic, hell, beasts, shooting action. It's very, like, I love horror games, but I do also prefer ones that are more action-based, and Doom blends the two together. And I've been a big fan of Doom now for, what, nearly a decade. I knew I just had to get a Doom themed section somewhere. Originally, it was going to be my back, but that changed and I swapped it over for my neck. So I was going to put, I've got the game Halo on my back, which you will get to. That was originally going to be on my neck, but I've swapped them around. The artist who does this, he is called Vinus. He is an absolutely incredible artist. I'll show his Instagram here so you can see. And he really specializes in like demonic, sort of demon-esque, dark Satan. So he has so far done two parts. He's done this part and the back of my head. We'll talk about the back in a minute. He is actually in Lithuania. He doesn't live in the UK, and he only comes over here a couple times a year. I kind of wanted something on show that wasn't just cartoony, more fun, playful. I wanted something actually out in show that was dark. And so another part of my personality that wouldn't just be like hidden. I'm going to say something now that might surprise you and shock you.
I'm gay.
The whole neck as a whole, like from front and the back so far, is so mid. It is so mid with the pain. I went into this thinking it was going to be absolutely horrifically painful, especially in the back of my head. I was so scared that it was going to be awful, really, really bad. And I've been pleasantly surprised. All of my neck so far, from here to the back, and even the back of my head, which we'll get to again, has been so easy to deal with. The throat, even in the middle bit here, because we kind of go over a bit of my like Adam's nut. That just felt a bit weird. The only real painful parts of my whole neck was going closer to like the chin. I could feel it here. And some of the high places, I could feel it in my gums. Definitely when it comes to pain-wise, the neck sits firmly in the middle. I'm like, when I get my left side done, I'm not worried at all now because I understand what things are gonna feel like. It's healed really nicely. I am gonna talk about aftercare methods, but I'm gonna do that at the end of the video. We also have on the back of my head, one like a lost soul, which is basically like, it looks like this. And we just kind of edited the design a little bit because of the shape of my head, of course. And it's like a floating demon head that kind of like floats around. And then when you go near it, it like charges at you and screams. I haven't shaved my head because I've been asked to show what it looks like when my like hair grows back a little bit. So I am actually like blonde / gingery. So you can still see it quite a lot, even if I've got like a bit of hair there. I don't normally leave my hair this long to grow. I wasn't originally going to go this far up my head. When he put the design on my head, we had to actually change it originally because originally I had like a bottom jaw that kind of came down a bit. But because of the contour of my neck and the shape of it, it made it look a bit kind of like just a bit strange, a bit sort of like stretched out. We decided to take the bottom jaw off and just have like the teeth from the top. I knew that I wanted to go a little bit up my head. I didn't want to go too far, but I was like, I don't want it to literally just be like a line on my neck. I wanted it to blend up a little bit. And when he put the stencil on and I like looked at it in the mirror, I was like, go on then, go on girl. I don't know if I thought the back of the neck was going to be as bad because I have had piercings there a few times. So I kind of knew some kind of pain, and obviously tattoo pain doesn't hurt as much as piercings, but I was very nervous about like this whole section of my head here and how much that was going to hurt. Obviously the skin is very thin. I cannot tell you, it was just like not an issue.
You're a psychopath.
I will say, definitely in the center of my head here, it did feel a bit wrong. It was like the inside of my brain was being rattled, and like getting your head tattooed, it's very difficult to explain, but it was like this intense vibration that was like going on into my skull. I don't know if maybe because that was so intense, it was like masking the pain, because genuinely there were parts of it that was making me laugh, even to the stage where Vinus was like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And I was like, I don't know. The vibration, the weird sensation was almost like a tickle sensation inside my brain. Sounds demonic. It sounds like this guy is a weird weirdo who's got like a pain fetish. That's not the case. I hate pain. Weirdly, it just didn't really hurt. It was that sensation of it like drilling into my brain though. That was just so weird. I am so in love with these sections. I cannot wait to do the left side. On the pain scale, it sits dead in the center at 5 out of 10. So now we're gonna move on to my back. The back I started right at the start of this year, and we have just finished it now. So it took a year to finish my back. We did it in 10 sessions. My back is themed completely in the style of Halo. So Halo is a really old video game from the year 2000, and it was what converted me over to being a PlayStation person to being an Xbox person. If I was to rank anything number one game franchise of all time, it would be Halo. The back. The back has had the most diverse pain scales I've ever had. It has had some of the easiest parts and also some of the most painful sections I have ever had in my entire life that I will never do again without some kind of numbing agent.
Is it me? Or are you the world's biggest pussy?
So we're going to start from where I started getting tattooed, and that was the Arbiter section. So yes, so Arbiter is one of the main protagonists from the early games. He kind of phases in and out in later games, but the Arbiter, my favorite Halo games are Halo 1 and Halo 2. Halo's always going to have a huge place of my heart. I will always cherish those memories of me and my there was a group of 4 of us, and in high school, we would all just get together and just like game for hours and hours and hours playing Halo together on split screens and doing couch co-ops and things, and it definitely holds a huge place in my heart that I will always cherish for the rest of my life. This is one of the worst sections I have ever been tattooed in my entire life. Now, bear in mind, by the time we started my back, I had had both of my legs done, both of my arms done, and parts of my front. So going into it, I don't think that I was cocky, but I was definitely less concerned. Vulcan, who does my back, who's also done my legs, we started doing dip shoulder blade section, where his mouth is, and going down onto his lower body section. Some things that people might not tell you when you're getting tattooed is phantom pains around other parts of your body. I mean, they're not really phantom, they're real.
Sure, Jan.
I don't know what it is about this one little section of my back in the shoulder blade like fold. My entire body's nervous pain receptors are localized in my fucking shoulder blade. And I do not know why, but as soon as he started going in this section, I was like, oh shit. There's a realization in my mind of like, okay, this is actually going to be difficult. And then suddenly my like cockiness, I guess, really started going down. I cannot begin to tell you that little section was the most excruciating pain I have ever experienced getting tattooed.
You wimp ass bitch.
Every single part of my body was connected there. I was having extreme shooting pains going into my stomach, my chest, my legs, my waist, like, and it was just like, it was like these like sudden like bolts of lightning that was like shooting through your body. And it was just like, and I kept saying to him, I was like, I'm really sorry that I'm like twitching a lot. I was like, it's absolutely not done voluntarily. My body was like going like all the time. And I was not expecting it to be that bad. And after those 2 sessions, I booked my next one because I was like, I want to get it over with. But I'm not going to lie, I was terrified. This is not fun anymore.
I'm having a terrible time.
If I put a pain scale here, it is right at the end. I'm going to make an extra 11 out of 10. That was the worst thing I have ever been through. In a way, I'm glad that I experienced it to know what my body could handle. When we started doing my left side of the back on my left shoulder blade, I was like, I am going to die. I was like, this is going to be an absolute nightmare. It was so easy. Just not an issue doing my left shoulder blade. It was like 4 out of 10. My left shoulder blade on the pain scale, 4 out of 10. Yet my right shoulder blade,
death.
That whole section doing the Master Chi, who is the main, the main character of Halo, was just so easy. And I was so confused doing those 2 sessions. And I was like, Vulcan, I don't understand what's going on because this is just so easy to sit through. We took the image from the main artwork for Halo Infinite. I really love how he made the visor look shiny. I think it's difficult to make things look shiny and like almost iridescent, obviously, in tattoos. It's very difficult. I really love the work that he did on the Master Chief's visor to really make it look ever so slightly like glowy and reflective. I love how he done that. And of course, in the center, we do have the Halo ring that goes up into the Doom, like the Lost Soul like mouth. That whole section going up in the middle, up to the, up to where my neck tattoo started, that was like nothing. Again, 4 out of 10, really easy. And then going on from that, we went down on the left side and we did a grunt. Now, a grunt is one of the basic enemies in Halo, but also has probably some of the funniest lines. The grunts are definitely like the comedians of the aliens. And so I really wanted a grunt on me somewhere. There's lots of different variations of color. So we did pick an orange one to kind of complement all the blues and the greens to put that with it as well. This section here, going down onto the kidneys, there were 1 or 2 little painful areas, but like, again, most of this was a 5 to 6 out of 10. There wasn't really much of this part that was that hard to deal with. Now, moving on to another incredibly painful part, and that is the jackal that is at the bottom. So the jackal does go onto my bum as well. It slightly goes down, which is the one section we still have to do on the right side. I've got an image here. I'm not going to take even more photos of my ass.
That's just gross.
We added a jackal, which is another enemy. Again, we did play with the design a little bit. On my left side of my bum cheek, I do have a tattoo from the Scream mask. So I've got a Scream mask that kind of goes up onto the left side of my ass. And I don't really remember that hurting very much. So going into this one, I didn't really think going onto my ass was actually going to be that painful. As soon as he started tattooing the top half of my left butt cheek, again, it was suddenly like, oh, this is what it's gonna feel like.
And I don't like it.
It was, again, it went back to just like being absolutely excruciating. It was sending shooting pains down my like leg, like right away down my leg, shooting pains down there. I could feel it all on my legs, all around the front and the side. Just horrible, like just horrible. That wasn't very nice either, like going over the coccyx area, that I could feel the vibrations literally like in my fucking sphincter.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
And then we move on to the final section of the back. Now, this last section we did, it wasn't characters, but we needed to fill in like the Arbiter's sword. He's got like a red energy sword. And also we wanted to fill in like the little gaps that we had, like for the Grunt's gun, for example. Miss Lingos, what are you doing? Sorry, I can hear my cat screaming. Mrs. Longitudes wanted to come say hello. Hello, baby. Don't say hello?
No, thank you.
So this is when we really went over the spine. As you could see throughout the pictures I showed you, there was also quite a big gap, like in the middle, basically like all the way down my spine. Oh my God. 10 out of 10. 100%, just 10 out of 10. I like spine, 10 out of 10. This is fully 10 out of 10. Absolutely horrific. As you can tell, the spine tends to connect to everything. It kind of keeps your body going and, you know, keeps you upright. Luxera calls it the brain stem. Isn't that lovely?
She's got a degree.
There were parts going over the middle of the spine. I could feel pain in my bollocks. Someone explain that to me. Someone explain. I could literally feel it in my sack, and I don't know why. I had my arm, as I was lying down, I had my arm like on my stomach here and like up on my chest depending on where it was hurting, and I was squeezing really hard in hopes that it would like calm the pain down. The lower back middle spine section was f***ing awful. 10 out of 10. I'm so happy that we finally finished my back because that was not fun. So we're going to move on to an easier section just so I can calm down a bit, and we're going to talk about my right arm, which is my video game arm. We have Knuckles at the top, we have Sonic in the middle, we then go down to Chandelure, which is my favorite Pokemon, Mega Gengar. On the outside, we have Aku Aku on my hand, we have Crash Bandicoot here on my forearm, we also have Spyro the Dragon in my bicep. This is my oldest section. There are parts of this arm that I do need some touch-ups on, and there's one or two things I want to add/change. This is a really good idea to you about how color tattoo ink ages, and this is from someone who's now become quite a good friend of mine. He's called Hyro. He works at Morningstar Tattoos, his own studio. When it comes to the arm, has been very, very easy to deal with, especially the shoulder. If I pick any place around my body that is the least painful, it is definitely like this whole upper arm section here. This is literally like a 3 out of 10. The top of his Sonic's head here, you might be able to tell there's like a slightly blotchy area here. I don't know what it is specifically about this part of my arm here. The ink just won't stay in properly. Someone said to me it's because your t-shirt's rubbing against it all the time. But like if we look at this side where Ned Flanders is, I don't have the same issue. We've never gone over this again. But this one little part here with Sonic's head, I don't know why. My arm just refuses to like let the ink sit, and I don't really understand why. What I might do is get my other tattoo artist, Vulcan, to maybe put some blue there. I don't know if maybe it's like the ink. They use different inks. Maybe it's that the intense blue just doesn't sit as well on my skin. I don't know. I'm definitely going to get Vulcan maybe to go over the blue and just see if like it might be the ink differences. My first gaming memories was playing the original Sonic game on the Sega Master System. Like we're talking old, like Sega, before I was even born, it was out. Most kids in the 90s, especially if you were a gamer, you knew what Sonic was. I just love Sonic. I've always loved Sonic. The only thing I would probably do different now, like we would start again. I don't think this is a tattoo regret as such, but if we would do something more differently, I think what I would probably do, if we look around here, there's a lot of space here. We probably could have put some more characters kind of like along here. As a whole, I'm very happy with how this is. Sonic and Knuckles here on my shoulder. And then going on to the inside, we do have Spyro the Dragon. Now this Spyro is a little bit more of like a sort of slightly more artistic depiction of him rather than like a one-to-one copy. Now the inside of my bicep, this is still a spicy area. It hasn't been that bad, but it was still definitely in the arm. This part was probably the worst when it comes to pain, but I would still only put that at like a 5 out of 10. The only thing I will say is around here, like this part here, that has a lot of sort of nerve endings too, and that was making my like nipple hurt. Like doing this part here was sending pain to like my nipple and this sort of pec area here. I couldn't tell you why again, but it just seemed to really make this part of my body like hurt. The bone here on the elbow, the actual elbow itself isn't that bad, but this sort of like bone bit here, the sort of side bone of the elbow, that is painful. I would say that one little part here is about a 6. At the front here, we have Crash Bandicoot on this like the sort of middle forearm. Like it's quite obviously my entire body is very maximalism. I'm not very minimalist in anything. So we've got Crash Bandicoot here. Again, Crash Bandicoot, I feel like it speaks for itself. Most kids growing up in the 90s played Crash Bandicoot. Even if you didn't have a PlayStation, you found a way to play it somehow. Even if it was just like on the store in like video game stores when they would have like the PlayStations on the side that you could like practice on and like play on to see if you like PlayStation. Crash Bandicoot, it's still in my life now. Obviously, I still play all the games that they've released. Even the ones that people didn't like Crash Bash, I still loved that game. And we also went down onto my hand and had Aku Aku there. That comes down onto my hand with a gem here and then it sort of goes onto like a swirly vortex. The Crash Bandicoot section here, 3 out of 10. And like the ink, the color has settled really well into my skin. The hand is quite painful. The real pain when it comes to your hands is when you go sort of more onto the knuckle section and down onto the fingers. So my fingers, I do have Pac-Man and some ghosts. So I got a blue and a red ghost. I love Pac-Man so much. I was like, let's give it like a small section. So I was like, why don't I put him on my knuckles? Now, of course, doing the fingers is really painful. Fingers, I will definitely say, are a solid 7 out of 10. We have gone over this a couple of times. Now, fingers are really difficult to get the ink to settle into the skin. It's because it's very thin. There's not much space for it to sit. So if you do want to do anything on your fingers, you have to make sure that it's nothing too detailed because it will just age horribly. We move on to the front of the arm, which is the Mega Gengar and Chandelier section. This was the very, very first part that we ever did, like ever. Again, with the Chandelier especially, it's not one-to-one. The design is slightly changed, like his body's a lot bigger than what it normally is, but it was just to like fit the section a bit better. And the sort of chandelier lamps aren't completely correct. I know people say that the arm ditch here is quite painful. Honestly, I don't think it's that bad. And I'm so glad that I started getting tattooed with my arms. If I'd started with my front or my back, I would have stopped. In my mind, if I'd gone, that's what it's going to be like tattooing my body, I absolutely would have definitely like rethought some of my decisions, or like maybe even like use numbing cream everywhere or something, because if I thought that was how all of it was going to hurt, it would have definitely changed my outlook. 3 out of 10 for the top part here. Really, really easy. 5 out of 10 for the inside. This definitely goes to like 6, 7. Elbow, 5 out of 10. Forearm, 5 out of 10. Outer arm here, 3 out of 10. The hand part, 5, 6. And the fingers are a 7. Essentially, that pain scale is exactly the same for my left arm. So we're going to move on to my left arm now. And arguably, probably the most, I'm not saying most important, but out of everything I have on my body, it's definitely the biggest part of my life love, I guess. If you followed me for any time, you know that I am obsessed with The Simpsons. I put a disgusting amount of Simpsons references in my videos. I have every single Simpsons pop, all the DVDs, posters, shoes, Lego. Like I've even got a spare Krusty the Clown Lego set here, like sealed, because I was like, I need it. Funko Pops here, you can kind of see them off camera here. All of these are like Simpsons DVDs. I'm rebuying them all now, resealed. The Simpsons is one of my most beloved things in my entire life. So I, of course, love horror. I do love spooky things. I love Halloween. So I just knew as soon as I wanted to get tattooed, I have to have one of my limbs dedicated to The Simpsons. Pain-wise, I've discussed it with my right arm. So pain-wise, I'm not going to go over again. It's basically mirrored on the left side. It was basically identical. We've got down the front here, we've got Homer Simpson as the Jack-in-the-Box, which he gets turned into by Bart Simpson on Halloween Special 2. I also have Kang Kodos. I mean, they look identical. I don't know which one I preferred. So this is Kang/Kodos, which is the alien. We go around the side of the forearm here, and we do have the little gremlin goblin thing from Halloween Special 4, which is the school bus episode when the little gremlin on the side of the bus starts to like dismantle the bus, and then everyone thinks Bart's crazy for saying it. We also have Snowball 2 as the demon that Bart Simpson changes her into. So then I've got Marge Simpson as a witch. Just above that, I do have Ned Flanders as the devil, probably one of the most iconic Halloween characters I think they've ever had. And then just above that, like all across my top of my shoulder, we do have the Bad Dream House from Halloween Special 1. And then if we go around to the back of the arm, we do have Mr. Burns as the vampire from Halloween Special 4. The Hell's Kitchen chef, this is who actually gives Homer the cursed donut. We then have Homer Simpson melting just like sort of into my like elbow ditch onto my like bicep. We do have groundskeeper Willie as Freddy Krueger. Right at the top here underneath, just by my armpit, we do have one of the zombies from Halloween Special 3. It's like there's not actually a character, it's just like one of the zombies that are in the show. We also have Lisa Simpson's skull just kind of here on sort of like my side of my elbow bone, and it does actually move onto the chest, but we will get to the chest eventually. So I don't think I need to go too far. If you watch me for any amount of time, you know how much I love The Simpsons. It's been one of the most impactful things in my entire life. It was impossible to grow up in the 90s and not know what The Simpsons was. The Simpsons just hold a huge place in my heart, such a huge thing of comfort that like I love all the time when I can look down and it's just like my favorite thing in the entirety of the world. I can't explain to you how much joy I get from being able to see this all the time. About 2.5 years old now. You can see some of the colors, like there are 1 or 2 parts that we might need to do a little go over again. Ultimately, most of the ink has settled really well into my arm. So now we're going to move on to my chest and my stomach and my waist and my sides. And we went from nice, easy tattoo sections to painful hell, I'm going to kill myself.
She died. She died.
Unlike my back, where I kind of thought it'd be relatively simple, the front I knew was going to be horrible. We're going to start from the top and we're going to work our way down. I'm actually going to take my top off so I can get a better glimpse of myself when I do it.
Prostitution!
I'm going to start from here just because we were talking about The Simpsons. So we do have Bart the Raven up here. Now, Halloween Special 1 from The Simpsons is my favorite episode of all time, which is why I got the Bad Dream House here and had a big section here. Like Bad Dream House and the especially the Raven episode right at the end, the storytelling and the James Earl Jones like reading out the Raven poem from Edgar Allan Poe like is one of my favorite things of all time. I think as well because my dad really liked it. I've got like this connection of my dad really liking it. Obviously my dad died when I was very young, but I have a vivid memory of him really loving poetry. I think I had that connection of my dad really liking the Raven section as well. I always love the Raven. So I got Bart Simpson as the Raven here. You'll understand the front part has a lot more bits we need to go over because I've been a lot more chicken because it's so painful.
Puff.
I would definitely say the chest area sits at like a 7 to an 8 out of 10. It definitely needs another go over some of the color, but I still think it's healed and settled quite nicely. It's just because some of the contrast we weren't able to finish properly because it was just so painful. I was like, okay, we need to get back to it at another time. And then we started doing more things. In my brain, I'm like, just fill everything up and then we'll fix everything later. We shouldn't really do it like that, but I like with my maximalist brain, I'm like, I just want to see everything covered and then we'll like not fix everything, but like finish everything at a later date. I just haven't got around to finishing it properly. And then on the right side of the chest, we do have Bob from Bobble Bobble / Buster Move, which is like an old arcade game where you shoot little bubbles up and then you pop 3 bubbles and try to battle each other by like dropping them down and sending like attacks to the other side. I love puzzle games. I've been a huge puzzle game fan since I was a child. Bob here from Buster Move up here, and underneath him I do have one of the enemies from, I don't know what he's called, just like the monster enemy. I do have that underneath him there. And again, I do need to go over the monster section a little bit more. 1 or 2 bits of it I did actually scar. One of my favorite parts is my Golden Axe Dragon that goes from here, goes down all across my collarbone, through the sternum, and fires all the way down here. I have never really been a fan of symmetry. Golden Axe is an old arcade game, which then got ported to every home console too. The version that I always played was on the Sega Genesis, on the Sega Mega Drive. But one of the things that really set Golden Axe apart from the slasher sort of beat 'em up games is the fact that you had this like magic system. So what would happen is these little elves would come in and you would attack them and they would drop these little magic vials and you pick up the vials. Each person had different types of magic, and the woman Tyrus Flare, she had fire magic. The ultimate like magic she had was this huge dragon would come down and shoot fire across the screen. Also, the main boss in the whole game, Death Adder, also had the exact same power, but his dragon was pink, whereas Tyrus Flare's was grey. And then there was also a blue dragon that you could go onto and ride, and he was like a smaller version. So what I wanted to do is combine all of the 3. So if you look at it, okay, 1 or 2 colors need a bit touching up, but there's like grey dragon, which is like the main color, but it also has blue and pink elements sort of interjected between the 2. So it's like almost like all 3 dragons kind of like mixed into one. But doing the sternum here, like in the center, was hell. Like it was hell. It was absolutely horrible. Apparently that is where doctors will like hit you if you're like trying to be resuscitated if you've died.
You're so romantic.
That's definitely a solid 8 out of 10. We're going to stick on my left side again, but we're going to go onto my nipple. Now, I have 2 pumpkins either side of the monkey's paw from Halloween Special 2, which is where Homer buys this little monkey's paw. It's all about the monkey's paw like story where essentially they make wishes. Every wish gets granted, but something negative also happens at the same time. We thought if I put the monkey's paw there, the base of the monkey's paw is just kind of like black. There's not any like shading really anything. So I was like, well, why don't we do that there? Because then we kind of just black out the nipple just to make it sort of done. The nipple is definitely a 12 out of 10. That is 12 out of 10. Absolute hell. My nipple's not huge, so it didn't take that long to like cover the section. So although it's really painful, I was able to just kind of like move on and get on with it and get over it relatively quickly. So it really It was just kind of over relatively quickly. However, what I will say is, out of all the tattoo sessions we have done, I don't know what it is precisely about this area. I think some of it is because the nipples are a very interesting piece of skin to put ink in. I will say the ink hasn't really settled that well in this section of my body. This is definitely going to have another go over, which I'm really annoyed about because it's just so painful. I'm going to have to do it again, which I'm not going to be happy about, but the nipple, 12 out of 10. So with my stomach, I'm going to try and like power through some of these things. There's so many different things to talk about. So on the right side of my like rib section to my stomach section, we do have Banjo-Kazooie themed tattoos. So that is, we do have Banjo, we've got Kazooie, we've got Mumbo from the game as well, and we've got a little Genjo on the bottom. Now, Banjo-Kazooie is another puzzle collectathon adventure game, like slightly open world from the Nintendo 64. This is the very, very first part of my abdomen that I actually got tattooed 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. This is probably the one part of my stomach that needs the most work. It was an eye-opener to how painful tattoos can be. So going like along the ribs, like solid 8 out of 10, solid 8 out of 10. It's horrible. The ribs suck. Like there's nothing, no nice I say it. They just suck. So we did like one pass with all of the color. I've just not gone back there because it's been really painful, which is stupid because I've done so much more of this side. So I understand the pain now, but we do need to go over the Banjo-Kazooie. Oh God, I'm choking.
He's dead.
We definitely need to go over the Banjo-Kazooie section one more time just to add some more contrast and different like touch of some of the colors. So moving across the top of the sternum, we have got a little Rayman in the little, we've got a little gap here that we put Rayman in. I was like, the gap that we had there left over, I was like, it's too small to like put anything big, but it's too big to leave as like just background. We added little Rayman. We got a slightly more, I say modern interpretation. This is what Rayman looked in like the second, third game. So it's not even modern. I don't know what I'm talking about. Rayman has been known as like the notoriously like ridiculously hard PlayStation game. If you want a real challenge at a game, play the original Rayman on the PlayStation.
I don't like it.
Next to him, we do have one of the Darkness characters from Kingdom Hearts. Again, Kingdom Hearts, old PlayStation 2 game, one of the most incredible combinations of like Final Fantasy and Disney. I stumbled across this game by accident. I was just like in one of my like pre-owned game stores back in 2005. I just saw it. I bought this in Puyo Pop Fever. I never played Final Fantasy, but I just saw Disney characters, and I've always loved Disney growing up, like most kids did. Instantly hooked. Incredible story, incredible game mechanics with magic, like magic elements. It's such a bizarre combination that shouldn't work. Just below that, we do have my favorite Street Fighter character. Ryu is my favorite character from Street Fighter. If we had a bit more space, I would have put Blanca on as well. In some ways, I kind of regret putting Ryu where I've put him, because this part here, like onto the center, like where the rib cage is, it's because it's so painful. I was like, why have I put like the most detailed-ish cartoony character right there? This is solid 8 out of 10. This whole like rib section here, like in the center, 8 out of 10. Horrible, absolutely painful as hell.
Don't you ever do that to me again.
Going to the left of that, on upper like onto my rib cage as well, we do have Yoshimitsu from Tekken. I've loved Tekken from the very beginning, like from the old PlayStation games. So I did get the Tekken 3 version of Yoshimitsu. Yoshimitsu has had many different iterations and versions over the years, and it differs from Tekken and Soul Calibur. So I wanted the Tekken 3 version. Tekken 3 is probably the one I spent the most time playing out of all of them. I would like to go over this one more time, not because we need to, but I just want to lighten up some of the gray to really make it pop out a bit more. But Yoshimitsu here was really painful, like solid 8 out of 10. The left side of my front has definitely hurt more. So onto the front of my stomach here, the one part that we haven't actually colored in yet, one part we're missing, Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's. Now this is the most newest character in the roster of games. I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's is still really old. What, it's like 12 years old now? I think it came out in like 2013. I even have playthroughs on my YouTube channel back when I was doing gaming videos on YouTube. I would love to tell you why, really, to be honest. I don't know what it is. I just love this idea of having this pirate fox. I just love this character. Belly button is the one place I'm like, I don't know how that's going to feel. We'll get there eventually, I guess. We've got some like line work over it. I didn't think it was that bad, but like the lower part of my stomach, I will say, is actually relatively easier to deal with. That's definitely like a 6 out of 10. Next to that, I've got another one of my childhood favorite things of all time, and that is Garfield. Garfield has been one of those things that, again, Every single person seems to know what Garfield was. We had so many video VHS tapes of Garfield and Friends. Going one more across from there, we do have the Blue Devil from Devil Dice. Now, I'm again, as I said, I love puzzle games. I've always loved puzzle games. A very rare puzzle game that was on the PlayStation was called Devil Dice, and it was this little game where you would like have to match dice heads, and you were these little demon creatures. There was like a blue, a yellow, there was like every color under the sun. I got the blue variety. You would have to match dice faces, try to add more onto it, to add extra times multipliers to your points, and you had to kind of bat each other. But it was actually quite a rare PlayStation game. Not many people knew what it was. And then to the left of that one, slightly up, we do have a Shy Guy from Mario. Then we got like a red variety. A lot of the choices when it comes to color, if there's different color variations, was to kind of complement everything else around it. So we got like a red Shy Guy. I love little Shy Guy. He's very, very cute. There's not really much to say to us. I'm sure people know what Shy Guy is. And again, a lot of the sort of like lower, slightly side version of the stomach has ranged between like 6 and 7 out of 10. It's not been the worst. There were 1 or 2 areas, but nothing that was like, I have to take longer breaks. I was able to deal with them quite easily, to be honest. Now we move on to my side here. Right at the top of my side rib cage, we do have Waluigi. Waluigi is my favorite character of all time in the Mario Nintendo universe.
Good choice.
Since I first saw him on Mario Party 4, again, as another puzzle game lover, Mario Party has been one of my most influential sort of like group games I've ever played. I mean, I played it a lot on my own as well. Mario Party really defined so much of our like party game growing up. And every single game from like the original Mario Parties all the way to like the most recent ones, seeing Waluigi firstly on Mario Party 4, I just fell in love with him. I think a lot of it is because he's purple. Purple is my favorite color. He's also like quite camp and a bit faggy, which I quite like.
Who's gay?
This kind of part of my lower armpit, upper rib section, only a 5 out of 10. So just going down from Waluigi, we do have a Big Daddy from BioShock. Now, BioShock is another one of those game series. If you ask me, it's definitely like between 2 or 3, like in my top 5. BioShock is one of my favorite game franchises again of all time. In the first and second game, one of the main enemies is these Big Daddy characters, which is what I've got here. And I just had to have one. I just had to have it. Of course, being on the rib section, this is like proper like rib. 8 out of 10, solid 8 out of 10. Agony, agony, horrible. So going down from that, we do have Carbuncle from Puyo Pop Fever, but this iteration was from either Dr. Bonnick's Mean Bean Machine, or it will be from the original Puyo Puyo games from like the early sort of like 90s. But Carbuncle was kind of like the commander in the game. So he would do like ready, steady, go. And he was like the commentator, and he was like the referee kind of character in the game. And I've always thought he was very cute. That actually honestly wasn't that bad. I don't think that sort of area of my waist, the upper waist, was maybe like a 6 out of 10. And then probably one of the most recognizable characters from my channel, at least, I do have a Cat Bus from My Neighbor Totoro. What do I say? I don't know a single person who doesn't like Studio Ghibli films. I'm actually currently in the process of buying my favorite ones. I do have Spirited Away and Laputa Castle in the Sky here on Blu-ray. I've got Totoro and Howl's Moving Castle coming soon, but I'm trying to get all of my Studio Ghibli films now on DVD. I was kind of holding off in case they did 4K, but like, I just don't think they're going to release them on 4K scans. One of my favorites of all time, and it was the very, very first Studio Ghibli film that I did watch, and I was about 15, I think I was 15 when I watched it. It was during the summer holidays from school, and Channel 4 were just like playing Studio Ghibli films every morning, and I turned over and Totoro was playing, and I instantly fell in love. Now, I still think I might add one of the little blue Totoro ones on me somewhere. I want everything to be very colorful. Totoro is just grey. Like, he's just grey. And because I already had Yoshimitsu here, I didn't just want like loads of grey, like on one side of my body. So I did pick the Cat Bus, but I might actually still add a little blue, like the little blue tot. I keep forgetting what the little blue one's called. 9 out of 10. It felt like I was being ripped open. 9 out of 10. That was agony. 2.5 sessions to properly do it because I just couldn't do my long days. Just taking off my trousers so I can see better.
Well, what the hell are you then? A sex maniac or something?
So we're going to talk about my right leg first. Now, I talked a little while ago about my love for fighting games. Now, one of my favorite all-time fighting games of all time is Mortal Kombat. Now, I will admit, later games, haven't really been my thing. But my favorite Mortal Kombat game of all time, Mortal Kombat Deception from 2004 on the Xbox. But I've been a huge Mortal Kombat fan from the very beginning, back in the Mega Drive days, using like the blood code ABACABB. Get over here, and you get the blood that would turn on in Mortal Kombat 1 on the Mega Drive. So I'm going to go through all the characters first, and we're going to talk about different pain scales. So on my right hip, we do have one of my favorite characters of all time. He's got Ermac, and he is the Red Ninja. And then going on the inside of my thigh, I do have Sindel, and we've got like a later iteration of Sindel where she was a bit younger. And then going around as well onto the back of my right leg, we do have Quan Chi, and he is just another one of the I've basically got all the evil people. Going down, we do have the Mortal Kombat Dragon that goes in from like the knee ditch and then goes onto the slight knee section. And then just below that, we do have Baraka. We've got an artist kind of interpretation of him. It's not like a one-to-one. The thing is, when I did my right leg, it was before the most recent game got announced. So it was about a year before Mortal Kombat 1 was announced. If I waited a bit longer, I would have had a Mortal Kombat 1 graphic design of Baraka then, or the other designs of Baraka, because he wasn't in like any of the recent games. A lot of it was like really low quality like renders from like really early days. I mean, I still really like it. Of course, it just would have been slightly different, but I got Baraka there. And then on the inside of my calf muscle, I do have Shinnok, which is basically Shinnok is like Mortal Kombat's version of the devil, and he again has like telekinesis, soul fucking powers. And then on the back of my leg, we've got some of the lightning bolts, some of the Mortal Kombat Dragon, and the bottom we do have another one of the Kamidogus from Outworld or the Netherrealm. I forget which one's which. I always forget these things. What would I do differently on my right leg? I think we probably could have had like one or two more characters. I think I know it's not very clear. I'm very happy with how my leg looks. If we did it again, I think maybe the center part of my thigh, we probably could have put something else there. Or maybe like down the bottom, like down the back, on like the back of my calf muscle, we probably could have put another face, but I'm very happy with what I've got. This is the first leg that I got done, and this is with Vulcan. So this is the oldest section. So you can see like a real look. This was finished 2.5 years ago. And we're going to talk about my left leg now as well. But then I'm going to talk about pain afterwards because like they're kind of very similar. So my left side of my body is dedicated to horror movies. Now I am a huge horror movie fan. I have been since I was a young child. Again, I was watching films I really should not have been watching, and I was scared a lot of my childhood by watching things like The Ring when I was 11 years old and watching like The Shining when I was like 7.
Children just don't have the correct upbringing.
I definitely watched things I shouldn't have watched as a child, but I've always had a huge love for horror movies. So on my left leg, we've done a couple of these like movie strip things so we could fit more characters in. Billy from Saw, the little Saw doll. Next to that, we have Mary Shaw, which is the main enemy demon woman from Dead Silence, also created by the people who made Saw, funnily enough. The next one to that, we do have the ring, like the light that would come away from the well as the well's closing. Going down from that, we do have two different characters. So we've got Freddy Krueger. And again, it's one of the reasons why I picked Vulcan, because I really liked his sort of ever so slightly painted look. This is like a slightly more artistic version of him. It's not, you don't really see his face. And then just underneath it, we do have the mask from Friday the 13th of Jason Voorhees. It was literally like the official artwork for like the movie. Now going on to the inner thigh, we do have just a big portrait of Hellraiser. And we did like it was a slightly more artistic interpretation because we kind of made him look rainbow, which I really love.
Oh, that's gay.
On my upper thigh, we do have Ghostface, and Ghostface does come up onto my bum. So we've got Ghostface there. Just underneath Ghostface, in my leg ditch, we do have Kayako from The Grudge. The Grudge is probably one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Some of that is tied to nostalgia. It was one of my first like horror movies actually being like I bought myself. I was like 13 when that came out. I don't know why I was able to buy it because it's technically in the UK it was a 15. So I don't know if maybe I just looked like an older 13-year-old because I just bought it. And then going around, I've got a couple more of the film strip things. So the first film strip, again, is another Hellraiser character. Chatterer is one of the Cenobites, and he has like the wire that kind of opens his mouth and that. I absolutely love him. Onto my actual kneecap. There's a film called American Werewolf in London, and essentially it's this guy that turns into like this werewolf, gets bitten by a werewolf and becomes a werewolf. But there's one section where he's in like a hospital bed, and he looks like he comes out and sort of like he's a normal human, then suddenly like turns into this like beast. And I've got his eyeball, so it's just literally his eyeball on my kneecap. So then going on to the lower half of the leg, in this center we do have a slight portion of the Blair Witch Project like sigil. We didn't realize we were going to have this much space in the center of my leg when we were planning around it, because sometimes when you're planning tattoos, it can look different on the actual body rather than doing it on the iPad. Even if you've got like a tool that kind of can curve a leg, we had a bit more space, so we ended up putting like part of the Blair Witch Project like logo, like the witch symbol on the inside. I do have a little Sam from Trick or Treat. Again, this is more of a slightly newer character for like everything else. So Sam from Trick or Treat is basically Trick or Treat is this really cool kind of like anthology horror movie, but it actually all becomes entwined at the end. So you see lots of different stories of different people doing these different things on this Halloween night. They interlock somehow in some ways at the end because of like the little Sam character who's like the demon of the show. Going on the back is one of my favorite sort of like characters as well. It's Jack the Rabbit from Donnie Darko.
That is not correct.
Absolutely love Donnie Darko. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. He's called Frank. I don't know why I was saying it was called Jack. Jack and Frank. Frank the bunny, who's like we don't know whether he's real or not. It's just hallucination from the main character. One of my biggest memories of that is it really scared me because I must have been about maybe 12 when that came out. I remember watching it in my bedroom, and it was before any of the horror stuff really happened. And suddenly, I remember like there's this one moment where you first hear Frank the rabbit, and you just hear this, "Wake up. Wake up." And that sound suddenly came in while I was sitting on the floor because I was kind of half paying attention, and it scared the living shit out of me. I was terrified of Frank the Rabbit for years. So naturally it has him tattooed in me.
Why are you wearing that stupid man suit?
I also have a xenomorph on my left outer calf muscle. Again, Alien, iconic horror movie. I don't think I really need to say that much about like why these films are iconic, but the Alien is one of the most iconic movie villain creatures of all time. So that is my legs. Jesus Christ. I've been filming for 2.5 hours. Right, so that is my legs. Okay, so the upper thighs from the front and the side, 5 out of 10. Going round to the back, so the back side of the thighs, upper, that's about 6 out of 10. I haven't found those parts to be very painful, and that goes for both sides. The only parts of my legs from these parts that I thought was really bad, there was a little bit on my right side, on the inner part where Sindel is on my Mortal Kombat side. That was quite painful because on the inside, sort of higher towards my bum, I have some stretch marks, and tattooing over stretch marks is really painful, and that part I would say was about an 8 out of 10. Going on to the leg ditch, so on both sides, on my knee ditches, they're definitely like a 7.5. I don't think it was as bad as I thought. Definitely going over like the tendon bits on like the slightly side, that maybe went up to an 8. That was definitely a lot more one of those places that made me like jitter a bit and jolt a bit. It was definitely a lot more, I could feel it kind of shooting down my leg a little bit more, so that definitely upped the pain a tiny bit. Insides of my calf muscles were probably the most painful when it comes to like longevity, and a lot more twitchy. The insides where my Sam is on my left and my Shinnok is on my right, both of those sides were about an 8 out of 10. I don't know why. And I had a lot of like nerve endings there where I was making my legs kind of twitch a lot more. Again, I kept saying to him, I'm so sorry that I'm like twitching. And it's really hard because you don't want to twitch and then you go, and then like the needle goes and sort of like scratches you or something. The outside, 5 out of 10. It was really easy. However, my left side, the xenomorph's tail does actually go down onto my foot, and the foot was horrible. I remember the foot being really bad. I would say that was about 8 out of 10. The foot wasn't fun. My right side is completely empty. I am going to do my feet eventually. The feet are really low priority. I'm more likely to tattoo my palms and my hands before I do my feet. So I feel like I'm speeding through this last bit. I've been filming for 2.5 hours. I didn't think this was going to take me so long to do my whole body.
You're boring everybody.
So that is all of my tattoos from head to toe, some of the meanings, what they are, and why I've got them. I have always wanted to be covered. I always wanted to be covered. Ever since I was a child, I always wanted to be heavily tattooed. I'm glad that I waited until I was 30 before I started going on to doing it. I was really then know exactly what I want to do. I'm now 35 and I'm very, very happy with the choices. It's been 3.5 years since I started. It was just after lockdown finished. It was like, yeah, it was right at the start of 2022 I started getting them done. You know, it's been about 3.5 years now.
Oh, it's me! Hi everyone, so just a little note, this is Editing Roly here. Now, this video took way longer to do than I thought it was going to, and I've been editing it for so long. It's an hour long, and I haven't even got into like the second half of the video. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to post the second half of the video where I talk about future plans and all of your tattoo questions you've got, any regrets, any things that I'll do differently, and all, there's like every other question that you guys had. I'm actually going to put it into another video, like as part 2, but I'm going to post it on my second channel, Extra Roly. So if you didn't know, I do have a second channel. It's called Extra Roly, where I post more vlog style things, more laid back stuff. It's fun. Go over and check out the video on the channel over there. But I will be uploading the second part of this video where I talk about tattoo aftercare methods, all the things that have happened over the years, answering all of your questions, talking about tattoo anxiety and all the things that I spoke about before and updates.
I've been filming for so long, I've had both cats come and visit now. No, Mr. Globbins. It is, yeah. I had to tell him off this morning, didn't I, Mr. Globbin? He was naughty and pounced on Lingua and made her scream, and I didn't like that. That was mean. Because he's like twice the size of her as well. I felt really guilty, so I had to give you a timeout, didn't I?
You're heading for the turkey, young lady!
But anyway, that is all my tattoos from head to toe. More coming soon, but I wanted to make this one now. I hope this has been somewhat informative. I hope you've had a slightly better understanding of maybe some pain. Please let me know down below any of the pain things that I spoke about now, if you have had a very different experience, because we really do feel pain differently. And I'm really interested to know what you guys think about tattoo work that you might have done, especially if it's in the really painful areas like my shoulder. My God, like your shoulder blade, like my right shoulder blade was absolute hell. I want to know if like you had a similar experience, or like maybe your right shoulder blade was like nothing. I'm so interested to hear about that. So please let me know down below. As I mentioned before, please go check out the Make Ship campaign that's going on down below. Go sign up. All you have to do is pledge $2 to begin with. Yeah, you're not going to get charged for a few months still. So it's just to show the company that there is enough drive from you guys that they want to make the product. So head over, go check that out, please, please. Even if it hasn't reached the goal, make sure you still go pledge if you really want to get one, because of course it tells the company that, like, you know, we're worth working with, girls. Thank you to my lovely Patreons whose names you can see on the side of the screen here. Thank you for being a Patreon. You guys are mwah, delicious wishy. I will be filming the next episode of Shattered very, very soon. But an extra special shout out to my top tier Patreons: Jack, Cookie, Kimberly, May, the Paisley Prince, Randy, Peanut Mama 0724, Lovely Assassin, Lonely Assassin 96, AJ Padilla, Radhika Madala, Bratty Bat, Samuel, Tadeo Naya, Lovely Caitlin, Adam Flelminster, Keen Jellybean, Nicholas, Kaz, Evanet, Niyaj, join the name, Blue Gem, TNS Mum, Demon Bunny, Adam Brett Batch, Rishi, They Call Me Doc, Athena Falling Angel Barrington, Erin Grace, Benjamin Baker, Aya, Robert Scott Palmer, Steffi Tech, Chloe Louise, Little Seizures, and Chell Herman. Thank you for being my top tier Patreons. You guys are delicious. Oh my God, I need to go. I've been filming for so long.